so I don't think I can see anybody else, but I'm sure some of you can see me. So, anyways, my name is Wutak from Bar Chemistry. What Bar Chemistry is, it's mainly a media hub and content channel on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. And we make mixology content. So your company, Kimberly Clark, reached out to me to host a little mixology class today for you all. I know some of you are going to be following along and making the drinks with us. So I'm going to go slow, take a little break after each drink, and I'm going to try to pay attention to where the questions are coming in. Someone mentioned something about questions, so I don't know where I would see that, or if Justin could just fill me in on that as it comes. But yeah.
Hey, the questions were originally enabled to have chat not be enabled, but if you'd like, I can enable it so they can interact with you.
Okay, yeah, I would prefer that actually, yeah.
Okay, understood.
Cool, thanks, Justin. Alrighty, so I tried to make the drinks as festive as possible for the winter and holiday season. And I think one of the most festive drinks that we can all recognize easily is an eggnog. Now, I'm sure we've all had eggnog, whether it's with alcohol or not, but I think to have a little fun today, we're going to make it boozy. So you can choose between three liquors that I think are most ideal for eggnog, and that is between brandy, bourbon, or rum. And I prefer brandy or bourbon over rum, but we're going to use brandy this time. I've got eggs here. Give me 1 second. We got cream. Boom. Okay. So this is not like traditional eggnog where you got to like heat up the egg yolks and whisk it with sugar and all that. This is more of an easy version of eggnog, which is going to use the base template of a cocktail called a flip. So flip cocktails, they use an entire egg, similar to an eggnog. So we're going to just start with that. Let's crack one egg into our shaker. And I did send some information on tools. If you guys don't have a cocktail shaker and you're using alternatives, the best thing I think is a protein shaker, like the one you use after the gym. Other than that, mason jars work pretty well. And yeah, or any type of, closed substance that can take a beating and you can seal tightly. So we got the egg in there. I usually like to crack the yolks. Just give it a little poke. Okay. All right, now let's do 2 ounces of brandy or bourbon or rum, whatever you guys have on hand. That's in there. And this part is optional, so if you are lactose intolerant, you don't actually have to do this, but I'm going to put heavy cream in. Let's do 3/4 of an ounce. I just feel that it helps the drink kind of have more of like a milky, creamy feel. Already the egg will do that, but it just adds to it. Okay. And now, of course, it's not going to taste very good if we don't make it sweet. So we're going to make a syrup. Some people buy simple syrup, but it's very easy to make it, and I'm sure some of you have not made it before, so I'm going to just make a quick one right in front of you. This is all you need. Sugar and hot water. So I've already got my water kind of boiled up. And we're going to measure out equal amounts of the sugar as well as the hot water. I want to make sure this is clean first, so the sugar doesn't stick to the measuring cup. There we go. So I'm going to let's do a half cup, sorry. And if I do a half cup of sugar, equal parts just means that I will do also a half cup of hot water. I'm going to put it into here. Measure out the same amount of water. Boom. Just going to give that a little stir. Let the hot water dissolve the sugar. Give it a second to dissolve. And once that's melted down, that will be your simple syrup. And after, if you've never made simple syrup before, and this is your first time, this is great to use in like, sweetening any drinks like your coffee or tea. It's a little bit easier than, just regular sugar because then you don't have to wait for it to melt. Yeah, and it's just useful. I know a lot of people who make that on the daily just using their regular life. So, I have some Demerara syrup. This is made with Demerara sugar, already made and cooled down. So I'm going to use this, but it's okay if you just put a little bit of the sugar of the hot syrup into your shaker. So I'm going to do 3/4 of an ounce because I enjoy a little bit sweeter. You can go up to a full ounce if you enjoy sweeter drinks. And then with no ice in here, so I've got all the ingredients of my cocktail in here, I'm going to give that a shake. This is called dry shaking. So that is usually when you make a cocktail with ice, or without ice, so sorry. But you're making it with egg whites or egg. So when you make cocktails with egg, you want to emulsify it before you try to chill it. So that's why we shake without ice first. You can shake however you want. Just make sure that you are gripping. If you have a shaker like me, make sure you're gripping both sides so it doesn't pop on you. There we go. Okay, now we need ice. So if without ice is a dry shake. Now this is called a wet shake. I'll put just a couple handfuls of ice in there, slam your shaker shut, and we're going to do the process all over again. People ask me a lot, like, when do I know when to stop shaking with ice? And it's usually until whatever you're shaking in starts to get cold. So that means that you've properly chilled the entire drink. And here we go. I'm going to use a coupe glass. However, if you don't have one, any old glass will do, even over ice, and a rocks glass is fine. So I'm just going to grab a strainer. Give me 1 second. A fine strainer. Go. If you have one of these, this is a fine mesh strainer. I would use it. It just creates a better consistency because it, holds back all the ice shards, lets the egg and cream sift through this fine mesh. It's all silky smooth. Your drink might not be this color because I use Demerara syrup, which is darker. But yeah, essentially that's what it should look like. And now we're going to garnish. Boom. I've got whole nutmeg here. I feel like nutmeg is like the Christmas spice. So easy to put on anything, especially like the freshly grated, and it smells so fragrant, so perfectly like Christmas. Tastes amazing, and it's just perfect in small quantities as a garnish like this. So I'm grating it over the top with a microplane. Tap out all the excess. And there it is, the easy eggnog flip. Looks delicious. I won't be able to taste this one. I can't drink for a couple days, but yes. I can't tell if anyone was following along or not, but if you have any questions or if you were lost in some of the instructions, now is a good time to ask. How's it going, Justin?
Hey, I don't see any yet. I'm actually told this is going to be, the questions are going to be facilitated through a platform they're using called Subsume. Okay. I haven't seen those come in, but I think a Subsume member is going to be joining us shortly to mediate those questions, but I haven't seen anything come in just yet.
No worries. Okay, so don't want to take too long of a break. You guys can sip this, but I think we should prepare maybe our next two ingredients. So you guys can sip on that cocktail. We're going to prepare two different types of syrups. So one is a sugar cookie syrup. Or actually, let me just rinse out my tools real fast. Let me just start on that. So in between cocktails, if you're using the same equipment, just try to rinse everything just with water. And then at the end, you can wash it for real with soap and everything. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, so this cocktail is going to require an Earl Grey syrup. So this is very simple, very similar to the simple syrup we just made. But one small difference, which actually makes a big difference. So this is Earl Grey tea, just the regular tea bags. Bought the Tazo brand. And we're going to let's do three tea bags. I'm going to measure out my hot water. Boom. Open all three tea bags. Earl Grey just smells amazing. What is it? Bergamot, essence of bergamot. That gives it that. And if you're ever making syrups for anything else, this is a really cool and easy way to make them, have a lot of flavor, be a little more creative than just adding a regular simple syrup to your cocktails, tea, food, whatever. All right, so we're gonna let those tea bags steep at least a minute. And once it's steeped, we're gonna add some sugar. So I know I can't see anybody's questions right now. Hope you guys are all keeping along. I hope you're enjoying this eggnog. If it's not to your liking, you can add more sugar, more syrup. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Clean as we go. Put this over here. Okay. So I think it's been long enough, and we can remove this. Fun fact about tea: if you oversteep your tea, it actually changes the flavor of your tea and makes it more bitter. So a lot of people like to say they like their tea strong and steep it for like 4 minutes, 3 minutes even, and apparently that's wrong. If you want it stronger, just use more tea bags, but try to keep it at a minute max. That is the sweet spot. All right, so now to our very concentrated Earl Grey tea, we're going to add the same amount of sugar as there is tea. And I don't use exact measurements. I usually just say equal parts or stuff like that, because if you're making cocktails for, let's say, a party, then you're going to want a lot of syrup. But if you're making a cocktail alone, you're probably only going to need like a half cup or so to make yourself a couple. So that's the nice thing about calling everything by parts, is that you can decide what to replace the measurements with, and you just know how much of everything else to put it as well anyways. The water's hot enough, so this is going to melt pretty quickly. I'm going to rest this to the side. Okay. Now, one more syrup that we have to make. This time we're going to start with just the regular simple syrup base. So let's get some sugar in here. Get some hot water. Okay. Now this, it matters a little bit more how much syrup you've made. So this is a basic simple syrup, right? But we're going to turn this into a sugar cookie syrup. So if you're following along and you bought all the ingredients, there should have been almond extract and vanilla extract on your list. We're going to do, I've made a half cup of syrup, so I used a half cup of sugar, a half cup of hot water, dissolved it through. And if you're using my ratio, then you're going to do 1 fat spoonful, like a teaspoon, of almond extract. And then double that amount of vanilla extract. So 1, 2. You always put the extract in bottles that are like not nice to pour out of. I don't understand that. I'm gonna give that a stir, let it incorporate. There we go. Once again, I hope everyone's following along perfectly. Sorry, I spilled some water on my hand. Oh, I've just noticed that there's another person here now. I don't know if that's a host or a panelist, but anyway. So now we have both these syrups corrected. This is sugar cookie, and this is the Earl Grey. I think we should start with the Earl Grey cocktail. We're going to need a tall glass like this. This is a highball glass. And we need our shaker. Oh, wait. Using the same shaker means I only have to do 1 set of dishes. So let's do, I'm going to use gin. Gin, vodka, tequila, even rum is good for this cocktail. So this is a Collins type cocktail that's usually characterized by spirit, citrus, sugar, and soda water. So we're going to start with our gin. But like I said, any lighter liquor is gonna work nicely. If you want to use like a dark tequila, like a reposado, that's fine too. We're gonna want 2 ounces. If you are a lightweight or you don't really like the taste of alcohol, you can go down to 1.5. And if you guys don't have something to measure in, like this jigger, I recommended a shot glass. Most of them are measured out to 1 ounce, or some of them are measured out to 2 ounces. But yeah, you can just use that as like a 1-part measurement. So when I say 2 ounces, you use that shot glass 2 times. If I say 1.5, you use it once and then a half. So I use 2 ounces of gin. And then we need lemon juice to be specific. So I have a juicer, I have a really big lemon. And we're going to want to get at least 1 ounce of the juice out of this lemon. Really big lemon, my goodness. And there is 1 ounce. Right into the shaker. Okay. Now this cocktail is going to get the Earl Grey syrup we just created. So I'm going to do also about 1 ounce. And then just to add a little bit of seasonal flavoring, coloring, all of that good stuff, I have cranberry juice. I'm going to do about a 1/2 ounce of that, just to give it a little bit of tartness, a little bit of color, give it a little bit of tartness. Don't need too much. Ice into your shaker, and once you have ice, we can shake. We don't need to dry shake this because it doesn't have any egg. Egg is really the only scenario where you need to dry shake your cocktail. I'm going to strain it into my highball glass without any ice. And if you don't have a highball glass, any like large skinny glass, it doesn't have to be skinny. Just any glass, like even a pint, like a mason jar will do, a pint glass will do. And here I have soda water. This is an important part of this cocktail. So it's very light, refreshing. You can bump up the amount of lemon or syrup as you like. So you can lower it, increase lemon if you prefer tart and refreshing drinks over sweet. Or if you like sweet over tart, then you can, rearrange the ratios and put more syrup as opposed to lemon. I would only fill it up so it's about 2/3 of the way, and then we're going to top it with ice. There is our cranberry Earl Grey Collins. Now, normally I would garnish that with a lime wedge, but if you have an extra lemon, try to get just a bit of the peel off. So I'm using a knife, but you can just use a peeler. That's probably the best way. And instead of adding more juice to your already balanced cocktail, you can take the peel where it's pointing. The peel part is pointing outside. And on the inside, there should be no fruit, no pulp, just pith. Otherwise, it won't work. And then you just squeeze. And when you squeeze, what it's doing is it's shooting the citrus oils from the peel out to the drink. I like to rub it to make sure that all those oils are all over the glass. Stick it in there. And then this way, take a smell of your glass before you drink. And it's like this smell and taste experience. So if you're not a big drinker and you've always wondered what a twist is in a martini, that's why they do it. Because you're just adding citrus oils. So you're not truly adding anything to a drink, like no juice, no sugar, right? But you are giving it a scent. And we all know how scent affects taste. So it does actually make a lot of drinks better. And yeah, just like this one. So that is the Cranberry Earl Grey Collins. This one's really good for parties because you can drink like a few of them. And, you can drink them without the syrup. And then it's just, citrus, soda water, booze, which is probably the most efficient way to get your boozing done. Do we have any idea if there are any questions or anything like that? Or if I can just keep trucking?
You can keep going along for now. I haven't seen any yet.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tiffany. All right, I'm going to give this a taste. Can't really consume it, but perfect. All right, last one. So we made this sugar cookie syrup. That's over here. And let me just rinse my tools out. so sugar cookie syrup. This is my favorite one out of all the drinks we're going to be making today. I highly prefer it with bourbon, but again, you can replace it with dark rum or brandy. But again, I think that unless you have some hatred against bourbon, you should be using bourbon. And this time, I really recommend you only use 1.5 ounces. No more, no less, just because we're going to make a very specific cocktail here. Boom. Sugar cookie syrup. I want to use 1 ounce of the sugar cookie syrup. So the flavors of almond extract and vanilla extract kind of come together to give you like this like smell and taste of a sugar cookie. And then we need lemon juice. So lemon juice, we're only going to use 1/2 ounce this time, because we do want to brighten up the cocktail, but we don't want to overshadow the flavors we want, or the booze. And that's it, right there. Okay. Now for this one, we're going to use an egg white. I have egg whites prepared already, but if you do not, basically what you do is you crack it on your shaker or wherever where you can get a clean crack down the middle, and you want to move it back and forth. Actually, I'm going to just do it just to show you in case somebody does not know how to separate an egg white. So in sour style drinks, what makes them a sour is the use of egg white. So if you haven't had these drinks before, it may sound weird to you, like all the eggs we're using in cocktails, but eggs have been a big part of cocktails since their creation. I mean, we drink eggs all the time, like eggnog, obviously, and bodybuilders. I'm sure you've heard of that stereotype of them drinking raw eggs. It's pretty safe. You just got to crack it, split it down the middle, and separate it back and forth until you are just holding the yolk in between your eggshells. I'm going to just toss that in. Cleaning as you go is like a huge blessing to yourself, just trust me. And because this drink is an egg white drink, we're going to seal our shaker without any ice, and you're going to beat it. You want it really foamy, you want it to emulsify completely, and if you just went straight to the ice, it's not going to do that. I'm not sure why. Definitely not that embarrassing, because I, at one point, also did not know how to separate an egg white. Boom. I just got ice in here, so now we're going to do our wet shake. So remember, egg-type drinks, you want to shake twice. Dry shake, wet shake. And if you need help opening your shaker, right? When you slam it shut, what it's doing is it's like wedging these steel pieces into each other, right? So this open part, if you smack it at an angle, the open part, it's supposed to just like give it enough force that it like kind of pops it out, and you hear that pop. So if you're doing all this, and then you can eventually get fancy with it. I'm not sure if any of you here are going to need that part, but you can hit it with your elbow or something like that. Boom. Where is one? Right here. And then doing a double strain, as we do with egg drinks. Oh, forgive me. Oh, yep. Never mind, you got it. Okay. And that is the drink. And to lessen the grocery burden on you guys, I wanted to, put as few like items as possible. So we're gonna reuse the nutmeg garnish. And if you still have some lemon peel left, lemon peel is also a great garnish to go on sours like this. So the nutmeg pairs really nice with the sugar cookie syrup. And then as a sour, we want these citrus oils. So I'm going to do both. I'm just crazy like that. But to not ruin the aesthetic of the drink, I'm only going to shoot these oils out, wipe it on the glass, and then I'm just going to toss it. Save it. Because there's no reason to put that in there. Ruin the nice, perfect foam I've got on the cocktail. For what? Beautiful as it is. And do you see that white foam on top? That's why with a sour, like a whiskey sour or this sugar cookie sour, we want to dry shake. Because if you didn't dry shake, it would just kind of look murky, kind of ugly, like, kind of how you would expect a drink with egg white in it to look like if you don't know what they're supposed to look like. But now that we've done that, we've emulsified it properly, there's this beautiful foam. It's going to have a nice silky texture when you sip it. And yeah. So if you like to host people and you like to make drinks for them while they come over, and you haven't done this yet, introducing them into egg white cocktails is just a cool party trick. So they're going to be like, what? Drinking egg white? That's gross. But it's actually delicious. And as long as they're not a vegan, they're going to thank you for it. So I told you guys on your grocery list that you should also buy some shortbread cookies. The grocery store that I went to had no shortbread cookies, but they had Nilla wafers. And the reason is because food and drink always go hand in hand. And like a buttery vanilla-y cookie is the perfect complement to this drink. I can't have any of these either right now, and I love Nilla wafers. So I gotta get that away from me. But yeah, here we go. And Dion, I'm not sure how to say it, sorry. But it is a good arm workout. It tires you out. If you're a bartender and you shake like hundreds of those a night, you come up with ways to make it less stressful on your rotary cuffs. But anyways, here it is. This is my favorite cocktail of the three. I'm going to take one little sip. Probably shouldn't have swallowed, but it's just that good. How's everybody doing so far? I'm noticing there's comments coming in, so it seems like that's been changed. Amazing. Yeah, the drink with the egg white is personally my favorite. Back when I was creating menus, I was known for abusing egg whites in all my menus. And then I came across a vegan restaurant that hired me, and there is vegan alternatives to egg white. Me personally, I think that egg white is still undefeated. I think it's the best option. It's flavorless. It adds this kind of protein consistency that makes it actually smooth and creamy. And yeah. All good. I will make some of these for my Christmas brunch. Exactly what it's for. I love doing cocktails at house parties. That's part of the joy of hospitality is making people feel happy. And what was the name of that drink again? This one is the sugar cookie sour. All because of this, a sugar cookie syrup. And this, I left out an ingredient that if you can find it, if you want to recreate this in the future, it'll be great. Butter extract. I could not find it, so I didn't want to put it on the ingredient list in case y'all couldn't find it. So we left it off. But if you can find butter extract, put it in the same quantities as the vanilla extract, and it'll make it taste way more like a shortbread sugar cookie type of deal, like buttery, syrupy. When I was doing R&D, I put actual butter into the syrup, but I didn't really like that, so I removed that out of the recipe. But yeah, I mean, it seems that I prepared 3 cocktails. I didn't realize this would be just a host panel like this, so I thought there would be some back and forth and some questions and all of that, so I left some time for that. But it seems we're through the 3 cocktails a little early. To give you guys a little background on me and bar chemistry, I started this about 2.5 years ago when I went on TikTok to promote my e-commerce business I had just started, which is right here. Are you going now? Okay, cool. Roommate's gonna be passing by. Apologies. But yeah. So started TikTok to promote these bar tools, and it was just pretty much making cocktail recipes. Most of my content is centered towards entertainment, so it's educational, but I try to be comedic and funny and etc. Are we making eggnog? That was the first drink we made. Make a fourth cocktail with the ingredients you have. Good idea. So we'll do that in a second. But yeah, so then we basically just made like 3 videos every single day, posting to TikTok until the business started taking off. And now this is my full-time gig. If you want to check out the content, if you like making cocktails, perfect channel for you. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts at Bar Chemistry, one word. Okay, so let's see. We have all these ingredients. I think my favorite one is the sugar cookie syrup. So boom, we've got that. We've got gin. We've got soda water. I've got citrus. I think let's make a Collins. Do I have enough gin? I think I have enough gin. Let's make a Collins with the sugar cookie syrup. I gotta grab another glass. One sec. So boom, tall skinny glass. Let me rinse my shaker real fast. How did you make the sugar cookie syrup? That's okay. So sugar cookie syrup is basically simple syrup, which is just equal parts of sugar and hot water. Equal parts means that it depends on how much you want to make. So if you want to make like around a cup, then you're going to use a cup of hot water, a cup of white sugar. Once you just combine that, the sugar will melt into the water. It'll become a simple syrup. And then you have 2 ingredients that is going to make your sugar cookie syrup, which is almond extract and vanilla extract. 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, depending on every half cup of syrup. So if you're making a full cup, 2 teaspoons, 4 teaspoons. But if you're making cocktails for yourself, a half cup is going to make you, I don't know, 6 to 10 cocktails, depending on how sweet you like it. So that's about all you'll need. Even if you're making it for a couple people, that's all you'll need. Now, if you're batching cocktails for a party or a Christmas brunch, totally different measurements. Exactly. Tiffany has the exact measurements right there. And yeah, and then I was explaining that I couldn't find the ingredients, so I didn't want to add it. But if you can find butter extract, it's going to make that sugar cookie syrup way better, way more buttery, way more like a sugar cookie. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me ask you guys what in this session available after this. I wasn't sure about any technical difficulties at the beginning of this session. It is being recorded though, so if you guys want to watch that back, you can watch all the beginning of the cocktails. But let me ask you guys, since we can engage now. Would you prefer to make a Collins? I want to use the sugar cookie syrup again. Would you prefer to make the Collins, or would you prefer to make like a sugar cookie style eggnog? And then we'll do whatever is more preferred. Collins. Boom. That was easy. All right, so let's do. We got our highball glass, shaker tin, gin. Now again, you can use gin, vodka, even tequila, even rum. I think it's better with gin or vodka. And actually, for this sugar cookie, if you have vodka, you should probably use vodka just because it's more of a neutral, like it's just more of a neutral base. Because if you're using gin, there's sometimes there's a lot of botanicals and stuff in it that can clash with the sugar cookie syrup, depending on what kind of gin you're using. So let's do 2 ounces. Oh, and that's the last of this gin. Gonna need some more soon. Sugar cookie syrup. Depending on how sweet you like it. The standard is 3/4 of an ounce. But I understand if you're not using a jig or measuring tool like this, it's probably going to be annoying to measure that out. So just do a full ounce. If you don't want it as sweet, maybe do a half. Grab this lemon. So I'm going to peel some of this lemon off beforehand, so I just have it ready for the garnish. And then I'm going to slice it in half to use for the juice, reducing as much waste as I can. Okay. Good. So we need 1 ounce of lemon juice. There's a lot of equal parts in bartending. So we put the same amount of sugar as lemon juice for a Collins recipe. And we have everything we need in our shaker that we need, so we're going to add ice. Jake? Boom. I need a strainer. Highball glass, which is just a tall glass. Strainer cocktail mix inside. Fun fact, if we just left this cocktail alone like this and poured it into, like, let's say a martini or a coupe glass, this would be a gimlet. So then you could call this a whole different cocktail, sugar cookie gimlet, whatever you would want to call it. If you just use regular simple syrup, it would just be a gimlet. But because we're adding soda water and ice in a tall glass, it becomes a Collins. So soda water. And notice that I like to add all the liquids before the ice. When you're doing like a 2-part drink like this, I like to do it with no ice first, because then when you add the ice, the drink is all one drink, and you're not drinking cocktail soda water. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've been to a bar and you've ordered, like, let's say a gin and tonic, and you're drinking it through a straw, and it just tastes like only gin, and then later it's only tonic. That's because they're pouring the gin first, and then they're putting tonic on top, sticking a straw in, giving it to you. And when you pour it over ice, the ice kind of acts as like a breaker, and it layers the drink a little bit, rather than it being one drink as it should be. There we go. Lemon peel that I saved from earlier. Hit that express. We're going to express the oils, caress it all over the glass. It's called express and caress. Garnish it with it. And then a straw. And that is a sugar cookie Collins. Very interesting. The sugar cookie syrup feels like something you need to use in like a decadent, rich cocktail. But sours and Collins actually benefit a lot from that like almondy, vanilla-y texture that it has. Who's been actually creating these cocktails? Sounds like a few of you. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And Justin, the recording will be available to them, it sounds like, right?
Correct, it will be.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. If we can make one more with what we have, just like a classic cocktail. But really depends if you have bitters or not. So if you have bitters, so this is what bitters are, and this is like the classic kind. This is like the basic kind, Angostura bitters, used in tons of classic cocktails. If you're a drinker and you like the old fashioned, you should know this from there. The Manhattan, you should know it from there. And we have what we need to make an old fashioned. So let's do that. I have both bourbon and brandy, so I'm going to show you guys a little something, which is what I like to do. And that is mixing both brandy and bourbon. So this is a little bit like a Sazerac, which is one of the first American cocktails ever. But we're going to do, instead of 2 ounces of bourbon like you would in old fashioned, you're going to do 1 ounce of brandy, 1 ounce of bourbon. You can use cognac too. I think it's actually more commonly made with cognac. Let's get 1 ounce in there. And 1 ounce of bourbon. I'm building this straight into my glass. Not typically what I like to do, but if you're making it at home, you also want to just, you don't want to create more dishes for yourself just to have a cocktail, So I like to do it the lazy man way every single time. This one is just an old fashioned, but I'm making it a little bit differently because I just happen to have both brandy and bourbon in front of me. If you only have one, just use one. 2 ounces of liquor is all you need. Bitters, 3 dashes, 1, 2, 3. So another thing about bitters is it gets messy. And we made simple syrup earlier. This is not the syrup I made, but this is Demerara syrup. Same deal, just using Demerara sugar. Yeah, this is not going to be a typical Wisconsin Old Fashioned. I personally am not a big fan of Wisconsin Old Fashions. So Demerara syrup, I would say you want to put at least a minimum of a 1/4 ounce. I like a half, and you can go all the way up to 3/4. In the Wisconsin Old Fashioned, personally, I just don't like the muddled fruit in the Old Fashioned. I feel that just the sugar water, bitters, ice, and orange peel makes for a perfect cocktail. And when I muddle the fruit, it just becomes, I don't want that in there. I like just the citrus oil. That's why I really like the orange peel type of garnish. Okay, so got ice with all my liquid now. And if you were going to buy any bar tool to make old fashions, if you like making old fashions at home and you just make them with whatever you got in your crib, you're going to use, you should use simple syrup that we made earlier. But if not, this is a Demerara syrup. It's just simple syrup using Demerara sugar. You can use any type of, it adds a little bit of difference. It's like a little toastier, a little nuttier. Same thing though, it's just sugar, water, equal parts. So just simple syrup. Bar spoons really help with the stirring. You can also measure. You can also layer with the other end for some of them. They're very helpful. And this is a hack. This is a little thing I'm going to teach you guys. When you stir, any stirred cocktail, there is a correct number of times to stir it, and that is 33. Now, it's give or take, obviously, but the amount of time it would take you to stir it 33 times will give your cocktail the perfect level of chill and dilution. So if you count to 33 while you stir, you should be good. Nice. Yes, big block ice is preferred for when you serve the drink. Sorry. So big block ice is preferred when you serve the drink, but when I'm stirring it, I like the little ice because the big block ice doesn't melt at the same rates as the small ice. So that's actually why it's better in the drink, but it's not as good for when you're preparing the drink. So normally, if I was just, working at a bar, I would never make the old-fashioned in the same glass. I would make it in a mixing glass so I could stir it with the proper ice that it needs and then pour it over the large cube. But, that's just a lot of extra steps if you're making a drink at home. So it's honestly like the same thing. Got an orange right here. I'm going to just do an orange peel, but a lot of people like both the orange and the lemon peel. Just adding that extra citrus. The lemon peel has a way more tart scent to it, so it's a lot more sour and better for sour drinks. While orange kind of adds a sweetness, which I prefer. And I'll show you something. I'll show you a cool trick right now as we wrap this up. So if you go to cocktail bars, you may have seen the orange peel flaming trick. I want you guys to be able to see this. All right, cool. So we all know about expressing our oils onto the glass, right? But when you heat up the orange peel, it brings all the citrus oils to the front. And as we all know, oil is flammable. So when you squeeze it, it shoots out a little flame. I'm going to do it to the other end of the peel, heat it up. Oh, kind of missed that one, but you get the gist. Rub it on the glass, into the drink it goes. All right, that is my favorite cocktail. And that's about it. So yeah. Any questions so far? We are coming up on time here. Any specific type of brandy? I think that's purely up to preference. Normally I use VS Cognac. This is just a brandy I was gifted, so it's like a full bottle sitting there. That's purely the reason why I chose it. And if you are into cocktails, you like drinks like this, look up the Sazerac and maybe try making that. It's a few more ingredients, a few more steps, but it's really interesting. Tastes very good. Yep. Bourbon in your old-fashioned standard. Classic, can't go wrong with it ever. I love it. But yeah, we're coming up on time. I hope this was fun and beneficial to you guys. For which liquors do you always use a brand name? I have my go-tos. I'm not sold on almost any of them. Maker's Mark is my go-to affordable bourbon to make cocktails with. If I'm making whiskey sours, this is what I prefer. If I'm making old fashions though, it depends a little bit more on the quality of the bourbon. I still like Maker's Mark, but I like Angel's Envy as well, like Widow Jane. I'll also like those just to sip on normally, which is why I kind of like them in an old fashioned. Things like cocktails, I try to not go for anything too expensive, too good. So I'm a big tequila person, so I wouldn't use my favorites like Fortaleza, El Tesoro in a cocktail. I would probably just use El Jimador, which is really cheap, affordable. But yeah. Also depends on the cocktail. If your cocktail has very few ingredients, like an old fashioned, and it's very spirit forward, you want a better liquor, you want a better spirit, you want a better brand name. What rums or tequila do you prefer? Top shelf. I forgot the brand of this one. Let me grab this one. So this is Asombroso, which is their extra añejo. This was given to me as a gift. I have never heard of this brand until I was given to it as a gift, and it is by far the best tequila I've personally ever tasted. I haven't tried a lot of top shelf liquor like that, though. Like, I've tried all the basic ones, like Clase Azul, Comos, not 1942, Avion 44. Like, all that stuff I've tried. This is by far the best. As for rum, I don't try a lot of top shelf rum. I like the El Dorado, the aged ones, like the 12, 15, 21. And then I like Diplomatico as just a good, like, high to mid shelf tier rum that I like to sip on. That one sips just like a whiskey, honestly. Like, that was the rum that got me into rum, was Diplomatico, which is a Venezuelan one. But yeah, thank you guys. I want to make sure I leave room for any other hosts. So in the last 3 minutes, if anyone has questions, I will be happy to answer them. I also made a discount code for you guys, barchemistry.com, for bar tools. I also have online courses, and this is our merch we just dropped. So I have espresso martini, old fashioned, KC15 is the discount code. Very simple, just your initials, your company initials, and 15, and it's 15% off. And yeah, I like that lone thumbs up that just came through. Missed the first drink. First drink was very simple. I can just say it for you right now if you want to write it down. 2 ounces of brandy, rum, or bourbon, and then 1 whole egg. And then you can do anywhere from ½ ounce of syrup to 1 full ounce of simple syrup. And then also optional is 3/4 ounces of heavy cream. Shaken, dry shaken first, wet shaken next. Strained, I put it into a coupe glass. You can put it over ice. And then I garnish with grated nutmeg. And this sounds like it's about it. Justin, we all good?
I think so. Yep, that's it. We're set.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate y'all who engaged with me. It made me feel like I wasn't just talking to myself. But yeah, hope you guys have fun this holidays. Spend it with your family. Get everything you want. Have fun, guys.